everyone, it's Camille from Chicken Scratch and Sniff. Today we're going to talk about 3 more ideas for how to teach Gordon B. Hinckley chapter 9, which is about the precious gift of testimony. It's an excellent lesson. We just talked about coming unto Christ, and so now we get to talk about our testimonies of Christ and how to strengthen and build those as well as share them. My first idea for you guys is to, pass out fruit, cutouts or whatever, as people come into the room. And you're going to want to pass them out to not everybody, but to people that don't normally participate, but you know they would if you asked them to. So it's just a way to get more people involved in your lesson instead of just the same people all the time. So make sure they're going to say something in a little bit, but you're going to pass these out. They don't have to write anything on them, but just have fruit. And then on the board, you're just going to draw a tree. You can kind of see mine there. And I put tape on the board so that no one has to worry about the tape and they know exactly where they can put their fruit. And it's just one less step. You're not playing around with the tape when they come up and it's not distracting. But the reason why you're going to do that is because it talks about fruits of your testimony. And so you're going to ask people when you get to this part of the lesson, what are some fruits of your testimony? And so the people that have the fruits are going to come up and they're going to say, well, a fruit of my testimony is that it's kept me going through this big trial that I'm going through right now. And then they'll put it up on the board. So hopefully you're going to get a couple different answers and examples of how testimonies strengthen us, sustain us, motivate us, and are blessings in our lives. Okay? To go along with that, though, you can pass these out, excuse me, at the end. You know the scripture where faith is a mustard seed. Well, faith is like a little seed. There's a coloring page for it. I love this coloring page. I've probably done it like 3 times already. But you could pass those out and as a reminder. I'll put a link for it underneath the video once I put this on the blog, okay? Or instead of doing it on the board, you can print out a blank tree. This was like a family tree printable that I found on Pinterest, and you could just have people write it down instead of coming up to the front. You can give people some time to write down what they feel are some fruits of their testimony on their tree. Okay, so some tree ideas for you. The next one is, okay, so here's a really fun idea. It's going to take a little bit of work on your side, but as long as you don't go too crazy with it and keep it simple, I think it could be really, really cool. So in the manual, it gave us like 4 different stories about how testimony has changed people or what people have sacrificed because of their testimony, things like that. So you can go around and ask different people in your ward or your stake, for their to share their testimonies, and you're going to record it with your phone. Your phone works just fine. Don't get too complicated, okay? And don't worry about editing it. Just put them all together and watch them all together once you're in your lesson. You're going to keep it just short, like 1-minute testimonies. And ask people that actually can't come to your lesson. I think it's a great way to get them involved. Like, those that are stuck in nursery, those that are homebound and they can't make it to church. Those moms that are always wandering the halls instead of in class, or those dads, ask them to share their testimony, and then you can show it in your class. You don't want to make it more than 5 minutes, so don't ask more than 5 people, and just watch their testimonies. And then afterwards, talk about why in the world do we have fast and testimony meetings? I mean, we know why we fast, but why do we share our testimonies? What effect does it have on us? And then you could talk about, how sharing our testimony strengthens those that listen to it as well as those that bear it. Things like that. And you can even ask for examples like, did any of those testimonies touch you specifically today? And are you willing to share that with the class? So you can do a testimony of a testimony. So, build on that. It could be really good if you just keep it simple and ask great people to do it. Third idea. So in the end of the sections, it talks about 2 Timothy 1 verses 7 and 8 because we're talking about sharing our testimonies. And okay, you could do this in a couple of different ways. but I'll show you the idea and then I'll give you some ideas, okay? Other ways, okay? So this poster I have for you on the blog, and it's part of the scripture, 2 Timothy 1:7-8. And you're going to cover it up with fears or things that keep us from sharing our testimony. So to get these answers, you can obviously just think of them yourself. That's fine. But if you want to really get people involved, you got to ask other people, right? So before you teach your lesson, you want to prepare this. So ask on your Facebook group, call around and ask people. Have Post-its maybe at the door. As people come in, you can say, hey, everybody take a Post-it, and can you write down one thing that keeps you from sharing your testimony in testimony meeting every single month? I mean, we have the meetings every single month. Is it the same people always getting up, or is it different people? Why don't you get up? Things like that. Some of the ones that I wrote down are embarrassment. I don't say it perfectly. People won't believe you. I'm afraid to defend it. Like, you're okay with sharing your testimony, but you're worried that people are going to argue back with you and you don't feel like you can solidly defend it. Not great with words. No one will listen, so what's the point anyway? So those are just some things. And so once people write it down, you're going to cover up the poster, and then you're going to go over some of them and how to overcome these fears, and then read the scripture together as a class. And you can even dissect the scripture a little bit as you go. Here we go. And because it says, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power. So what power does he give us? Of love. Love of what? And of a sound mind. Well, what does that mean? And so you could kind of dissect that as well as you go through it and talk about the comfort and the peace that comes from the Spirit, but how our testimonies motivate us to share it. And we shouldn't be afraid, because that's not the Spirit that we are looking for. So those are just a few ideas. You can do them a couple different ways. I hope that helps you come up with some more ideas for your class. Go to the blog. I'll have this video up there in just a second, and I will have the links that you need for the things that I've shown you. Okay? You guys have a great week.